it's been pretty hot lately. Okay, doing this light thing. So I should have rings in my eyes.
You know, I
so we're live. We're live.
We're live.
Oh. Amazing.
Amazing. Rings in my eyes. Oh wait, I think I'm double timing. Okay. Hi.
Yeah. And it's been a while as well.
It certainly has been a while. And Jessica, if you can, welcome back to Digecon. And if you could share with us, we did have a watch party to watch some of your episodes of the AIB Summit. Yes, we did.
Oh, guys, how did you find it? I really want to hear.
Well, it was great, except for we got shut down as well because we couldn't live stream watching your live stream. That gets flagged too. So when we try to do a watch party, I guess there's a licensing and there's some issue, and we weren't able to do that. So we basically, we just kind of watched it on our own and kind of had comments. But we loved it. I loved the opening. I loved how it was so diverse. The different languages. Very, very cool. Very cool.
Thank you.
Filming it.
It was amazing. We worked really hard on having the agenda, which really represented people that were from the Philippines and also from Hong Kong in the tech space, and also people from the United States and Europe. And I think we did so well in bringing everyone together to network. So I was super happy with how it went. I completely fell in love with some of the speakers as well. So if anyone hasn't checked it out yet, I really recommend going over to the YouTube channel. And we actually had some difficulties as well. I know you were saying the stream got shut down. We had our content flagged a few times as well. So I think for a lot of YouTube content creators in the crypto space, talking on code and stuff, it is a tough time because our content definitely got flagged as well. But all the videos and panels are individually on YouTube now as well. So if you want to go and rewatch one, I think I'm going to send you one of my favorite ones as well for you to have a little look at. And I want to hear your feedback because we're doing another one on Latin America, and Latin America in the blockchain space is so interesting that, you should get on board. You should come on as a speaker.
Oh, I would love to. That would be just fantastic. For everyone to know, I first experienced Sigma in the Philippines. Well, I had been connected to Iman, who's from Malta. I had been connected to him through some of the digital activations that Act Ventures was doing. So Iman was super receptive to that concept. And then we met in Hong Kong Blockchain Week, where ActX had an art show, had a digital art show. It's called Decentralized Art Show. So we were putting on this art show. We had different providers for wallets and for coins. And it's basically, I guess you'd call it a Trojan horse. Basically, it looks like an art show, but it's actually a crypto activation.
Wow.
Yeah. So I met Iman during Hong Kong Blockchain 2019. Yeah. And that's when he has his first conference in the Philippines.
Yes, because I remember editing the after movie and I could see you in there, and I'd met you in I think I sent you a photo of it because I'd met you in Belarus a few months before, and I changed jobs, and I was like, this girl is just popping up everywhere. We have to work together at some point. But yeah, Eman is a great guy, and he's just such a visionary when he gets an idea. Being able to put it into a concept and implement it is impeccable. Right. So it's a real pleasure to work with him.
Yes. I think it's great. And one of the things I was just so inspired by his leadership was he was so giving. I had planned this week. We did Hong Kong Blockchain Week. We weren't involved with Token 2049, but I ended up becoming assistant producer for the CNBC Crypto Trader Show at that show. And so I was inside Token 2049, and I met the whole team. I met Oliver, I met Iman, and I was being in Hong Kong just to work remotely. And he had mentioned his Philippine conference. And I was like, nah, I'm just going to work. I got to stay here in Hong Kong. But just to say, Hong Kong is not my favorite place. I love Taiwan. I love Beijing. I love Shanghai. Hong Kong is not my favorite place to be. So then he had mentioned the conference, and I'm like, well, it's just a flight over. I might as well go work there. And what was so amazing was I just mentioned it like, hey, guys, hey, I know you guys invited me to the conference. I'd love to attend. Immediately, he connected me with his team. He got me a hotel room, you know, as a speaker. I wasn't even a speaker, you know, so I just really always really value him. And speaking on coronavirus and pivoting and consistency. The other thing I appreciate about his leadership is he's consistent. So while people were complaining about COVID, complaining about Trump, complaining about leadership and policy and politics, he was blasting out his content. And I was like, this is refreshing to see someone actually just doing the content they said they would do and continuing even in a time of crisis.
Yeah, and I think supporting a team as well, because I guess it was an uncertain time for so many people. And I think to be able to feel still supported in that environment is a really strong trait as well for an employer, because I know the topic of today's Digecon is like the digital economy moving forward, how are things going to look? And it has been such an uncertain time. And what's amazing about the conversation with me and you is I'm based in Malta in Europe and you're now in New York City. So we're completely different sides of the world, but we're still able to give our perspective on like how things are looking and the perspective of, you know, people from the blockchain community and moving forward, which the blockchain community already was a pretty online space. So actually, a lot of industries, we were quite lucky as an industry that we were used to Zoom meetings, Telegram calls, compared to other industries. I don't know how you found it personally on a level of like one-to-one, how you did business. How were you impacted by it?
Well, let me tell you something, Jessica, that while I've been remote, I've been managing decentralized teams for now over 5 years, right? That being said, I'm used to doing things digitally. I'm used to calls. I'm not used to being incarcerated though. So this whole being on lockdown, that's something that's different for me. And that was quite different. And I had to adjust to that. So just being forced into one place, that's one thing for me. I was actually in London planning a hackathon, and Trump announced the closure of the travel. So I came back, you know, running to mama, right? I came back right to New York. I didn't even go home. I just came straight to my hometown, quarantined myself for 14 days before seeing my mother, since I had come from Europe, which was a little bit more hard hit. Now, the other thing that's different is that I had to adjust is that I'm a very social person, and I get my business through like being in the field. So if you can imagine, So not because I have to. And now the words of executive recruiter that I'm friends with came blaring in my ears, because she said, Christiana, you need to have a boilerplate of the consulting services you offer, and you need to make it online, and people need to know exactly what it is. They need to know the tiers of service, and they have to be calling you. If you're hustling and going to every event, or your teammates are going to every event and closing deals, that's great, but you need to just make it easy on yourself, you know? But I just enjoyed so much that circuit, especially in the crypto space.
Yeah, well, this is how we met. And I think this is something that I found this year really challenging is I've not left Malta, which is a tiny island of 300,000 people, for nearly 5 months. I've not traveled outside. I know, and I've not done a conference in 5 months either. The last conference was Ice London, which is a gaming conference. And for me, I really, really felt the impact. So it was just a crazy time to be used to it. And your video's gone. I can't see you anymore.
Oh.
There you go, you're back. Because this is where we met at Crypto Games conference in Russia. And what's amazing is when you go to these conferences, some people just have this natural energy that when you meet them, you're able to share stories and dissect. And I think the crypto space certainly does need that element as well to almost close the deal. You can make the introduction, but you need to have
right.
Did you?
What's up?
Did you test out any online conferences like properly, any of the networking elements as well?
Well, yes, yes. And I'm not going to name names. Um, but all I can say is that we saw that there was such a need in the marketplace that we are creating our own solution. So not Digicon Live, but so basically, if you know, Give On Live is the broadcasting station, the platform, the foundation of this, and then Digicon Live is one channel. Now, Give On Live, what's happening now in the Give On Live side is that we're actually we're inviting community groups, especially nonprofits, to test out our infrastructure. So tonight, for example, if you're interested in Austin, Texas, the Austin Bitcoin meetup is going to be happening in Give On Live / Austin Bitcoin meetup. And they're going to be able to have one main room just like this and breakout rooms.
Amazing.
Yes, yes, yes. So it's not mobile yet. It's not an app yet, but we just wanted to address that lack of meeting in person, serendipities, you know, the person you meet getting coffee while you're getting a bagel because you're falling asleep, you know, those cool moments. There are definitely a lot of competitor apps. There's a lot of service providers, big ones, small ones, and a lot of them have their cool functions, but I think our value with Give On Live is basically serve the immediate need first. So we could go in the back and we could start building our app, not saying that we're not building our app, but I'm saying that we want to meet an immediate need. We want to let people gather now, you know, so that's why we're offering basically on a trial basis access to having these meeting rooms. So if a nonprofit can't afford to have a Zoom subscription, or if they don't qualify for the Zoom over 40 minutes because they're not a school, they can come to Give On Live and we'll host their meeting for them.
I mean, that's such a good idea as well. It makes a lot of sense because networking is so important. I can see that Gabriel is viewing it. Can we bring him in?
Oh, absolutely. Is he ready? Gabriel, are you ready? So you mentioned Latin America. Now, Gabriel, we've contacted him for Digicon Live Español.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Hey guys. Hey Jessica. Hi, nice to connect. How are you? All good. Good to see you.
Good.
Yeah.
Good to see you too. How are you?
Yeah, very good, Jessica. Good to reconnect. Yeah, I talked to Jessica Christie a few months before I was supposed to go to Manila, right, for the summit.
Yes, we had a phone call, I think. I was
Okay.
I'm on board as a speaker. See,
Yeah.
Space is connecting again. Love it.
I know. But yeah, looking forward to being Malta in November. Hopefully we could travel now.
A physical event. I'm like so excited. It's going to be the first one in about 7 or 8 months. I think everyone crazy and just be so excited.
Yeah.
How do you now?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Whereabouts in the world? Where are you based now?
Currently Colombia, in Bogota. Yeah, so I was, between Colombia, San Francisco, but yeah, because of the pandemic, I got here, so staying here for the moment. So yeah, enjoying here, and yeah, I was seeing some pictures of Malta because I was last year, I think, or 2 years ago. Oh my God, I miss this type of event with people, with humans, and without, yeah.
It's amazing because Malta's returned like back to normal as well.
Right? You are currently in Malta, or where are you now?
Currently in Malta, and restaurants are open. It's no longer much of the pandemic, so everything is slowly getting back to normal, day-to-day life. Amazing.
Oh, okay, great. Oh, I love Malta. Yeah, and the summer is coming, right? Already summer, so yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we were talking before, me and Christiana, about how there's been such a paradigm shift in the last few months. How's everything been for you, like work-wise, based on the fact that we have seen this huge move online, people working from home?
That's right. Yeah, that's a good question. But from my side, I've been getting more work, actually, a lot of work. That's good. Let's say, like a growth, let's say. And so an interesting fact that I've been able to connect with people more because people are at home, are available. So they have more time to talk, to listen to you, to listen to proposals. So in a way, I think I have more work. But on the other hand, I miss, obviously the human experience, going out and talking with people, seeing people. But I guess everything will get back to normal again down the line.
Yeah, hopefully.
I
And for
hope. Yeah.
viewing on YouTube now that might be tuning in, just remind them what is it you do? What industry do you work in? What's your job role?
Yeah, definitely. So basically what I've been doing with my company, which is Mobile Your Life, I think I mentioned you, is we raise capital mostly for, at the beginning, it was mostly fintech, SaaS, blockchain, but more recently we got heavily involved in renewable energy. So we got a lot of projects, doing, ways to create new ways of electricity, cannabis as well. We have interesting deals in UK, and, energy storage, water treatment, flare gas from the old stations to get that flare gas from the air, create electricity. So it's been a wild ride the last year. And also, also from my side, I've been investing as an individual in some of the deals I get presented. So I guess the idea is to continue doing the same and build a fund down the line to deploy directly, and doing the kind of like, because we got access to many deals and investors. So the idea is also to be the direct, the fund directly, and invest. So that was the idea before the pandemic, but I guess it got delayed a little bit. So yeah.
But this goes on perfectly. So the idea of the topic today is like the future of the digital economy and how things are going to be moving forward. You
Right.
mentioned before the pandemic, and I think what's so interesting is all three of us work in completely different sectors, but maybe with the same kind of clientele.
Yeah.
And for the event industry, I think it is going to change how people view events. Because I work in the event sector, people I think are going to be more selective of what events they choose to go to per year. Maybe people, I can't believe I traveled every 3 weeks. What was I doing? That was too much.
That's right.
So I think it is going to impact our industry a little bit, and we're going to have to improve like online conferences and networking. Do you think it's going to impact your industries that you work in at all moving forward?
Definitely. It already impacted, a lot.
Yeah.
And you see economy right now that is more, I would say, horizontal. So you don't need, for many people, you don't need to work in a corporation. Like this type of works, you can be at home working like a freelancer, and it should be okay, right? So I guess the economy will shift more to horizontal kind of stuff. Obviously, you will have corporations, but I guess institutions, the typical institutions like Harvard, let's say, I mean, maybe you won't need to go to that place physically and get a degree, seven-year degree. So it's very intense, I guess, the change. And it will impact the next 20 years. And I think it's not something for just the short term. This will impact, the next decades, I would say. So yeah, interesting stuff, definitely.
And can you imagine us having to tell our kids about this and saying,
Wow.
like, your mom and dad lived through a pandemic?
Yeah. Well, I got a kid right now, 9-year-old kid, and he meets going to school and playing soccer. So he's like, oh my God, it's like, I guess he will remember this time.
Yeah. Well, hats off. I always think like a round of applause is like totally parents that have managed to be the homeschooled and.
Yeah, I'm doing third grade again, doing with him, the homeworks and so many stuff, right? But I guess, yeah, I don't know. We're stuff, right? Because who knew, right? We talked in February, I think, Jessica. The idea was, go to Manila, everything will be okay, right? So,
yeah. And then just everything just changed. But it was good. I think sorry, you go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you, Jessica. Just about your children. And I know a lot of people, we're human beings, so a lot of us are parents or about to be parents. Now, I'm really curious, now that your kids are around more and you have to entertain them more, what do you find as beneficial and then as dangers of this social media space? So, we're in the business of creating content. We're in the business of curating meaningful content. Now, we're very careful. We're not doing any child programming at this moment because we want to make sure our security is robust. What is your opinion about security for children and content like TikTok and things like that?
Wow. Yeah. Well, actually, my kid doesn't have any of that right now. Well, I mean,
Wow.
he's 9 years old, but he's like, he has his own laptop and he sees YouTube and that kind of stuff. But so far, he doesn't have like Instagram or, TikTok. But I guess that will come for sure down the line. He will start asking me about that. But yes, he's super curious and smart. So I guess, yeah, you have, those are the tools of the moment, right? So I guess,
And that's
Right.
such
I
an
guess that
interesting
we'll
point.
have to go with the flow and, yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Those are, yeah. So funny, right? But interesting. But yeah.
Yes.
So
big
how's
stuff.
everything how's everything in New York right now? Christy, you're in New York, right?
Wow. Yeah. It's been a pretty hectic last 2 weeks, I would say.
Mhm.
A few broadcasts ago, on June 2nd, for example, that was the day that there began protests for Black Lives Matter in New York
Mhm.
City. Now, what people don't realize was that while there were protests, there were also criminals and coordinated crime that
Mhm.
they actually had a fantastic strategy. If you're trying to go with strategy here, they would take radio detectors, see where the people in the protests were, take
Mhm.
the radio detectors and go to places where the police were not and ransack those towns. And they were stealing, they were taking, it was a mess. And so for me, it's very impactful, me being in my hometown, to hear these things happening to everyday citizens, that have nothing to do with the movement, that are just hardworking humans and trying to protect their businesses. And it really does affect the diaspora. And what's most dangerous about what's happening in New York and other cities in the United States is that the media is representing it in a way that is not accurate, or it's not the full story.
Interesting stuff. And what about in Malta, Jessica? How's the thing with the blockchain? Because I remember, all the time, blockchain island and the digital revolution in the island. How's everything there?
That is actually, it's a really good question, because I actually read an article today that Malta is launching a incubation system for co-starting this digital economy, and they've got a lawyer that regularly speaks at our events on board, and we're due to film a feature for it on Tuesday of next week. So I'll be able to, guys, on the next show on how things are looking there, because you're right, in 2018 there was this huge hype of Malta being
Right.
island. A lot of projects had come over and there was a lot of excitement, a huge buzz. And in all honesty, there is still a lot of people here that are in the cryptocurrency space. I went to a co-working space today called Freedom Hub, which was amazing. Christiana, next time you're in Malta, I'm going to take you. And they have a huge canvas printout of Satoshi's white paper on the wall.
Oh, nice. And me too, right? You can take me as well, please.
Yeah, I'll take you both.
Not only
next
Christiana.
time. And they have like a TV studio setup, and they're doing a lot of work when it comes to content as well, and streaming out a TV network from there as well called Blocks Live TV. So there is still content being out, and there's still crypto people there. But I don't think there's as much of a bubble, which is good as well as bad, because I think there was this huge business surge, and I think sometimes that can be a little bit unrealistic to sustain. There's still excitement, and especially when there's the events on, the streets are just full of people that come from all over Europe. I think people have dispersed, they're not just in Malta anymore. People have gone to like Estonia as well to get licensing, because some people found that it might have been a little bit faster than Malta. People have different sets of needs. So there's still a buzz for sure. People still, if I say I work in the crypto and blockchain space, they don't go, what is that? People are a bit more, Bitcoin.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember because I had some clients in Malta, the thing was the banking, right? The banking system was quite a headache, right? I don't know, maybe it improved, or, it's continuing that, that line.
And I think that you've made a really good point, that it was something where I think people that were coming to Malta to look to set up shop and look to get their company kickstarted and registered, they were hoping that the banks were maybe a little bit more cooperative. And everyone has different use cases and examples, but you are right in saying that there are some companies that just kind of went, you know what, we've had enough of this now, and we're just somewhere else, because the process is slow. I think as well, it is still a Mediterranean island and it is super small. So in theory, it's an amazing sandbox for these kind of things and blockchain. And, you know, you can go to restaurants and bars and pay in crypto. You've been able to do this since 2018. And
Yeah.
it's so cash driven as Malta. For me, that was really exciting. And there's an auto dealer that's literally called Bitcoin Auto Dealer.
Oh,
And
nice.
sign at the front. So there is more of a awareness of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin and payment methods in Malta than you would get in Italy, which is like 20 minutes away, you know? So
Yeah.
it's just, and not as much as people thought it would be based on some of the news. I think there's definitely Baltic regions that are playing catch up. I'm not like Estonia, Latvia, but they are really tech forward as well. That's just their nature, you know.
Yeah, that's right. I also heard Liechtenstein, in Switzerland, also was super crypto friendly, right, with the banking stuff. But the good thing in Malta is the government that is super straight, moving forward with the blockchain, with the technology. That would be interesting. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, and really cooperative as well. I know when I moved to Malta in 2018, we had the president of Malta and the prime minister both come to our TV studios to say, oh, we've heard that you're launching a blockchain TV station. We really appreciate you bringing some concepts and some awareness to Malta. Thank you so much. And in no other country that I can think of, that would have happened the first week of coming to this island. I remember thinking,
So
it was really interesting. And I think even we were talking about how things have changed since COVID. Malta was this island where there's a laughing joke that you always need to carry cash. You can't go out without carrying cash. It's obscene and like it just made no sense. And they stopped accepting cash in a lot of stores and really pushed for contactless card payments. So for an island where they've been pushing card payments for 10 years and people have been going, no, we're not going to accept them, they've suddenly kickstarted 20 years of progress in 3 or 4 weeks because of this huge requirement, which for me, so interesting to witness. Yeah, it was amazing to see. Suddenly people go, we don't accept cash anymore. Whereas 3 weeks ago, we accept it. How quick is that as a transition?
That's so cool. That's really cool. I mean, I don't, did they transition because of COVID-19? And
because they viewed touching money as something unsafe. Malta had a population of older generations, and they really value their family. So for them, what happened to Italy, and they just policed themselves and self-governed themselves. And one of those things was touching money. They viewed money as being something dirty. So it was really
dirty money. Yeah, we can get real into that dirty money.
So yeah, I mean, you are both you're both bullish on the side that after COVID things should be better, right? As you say, like look this transition, right, from cashless society, right? So it should be, the question would be if it would be crypto or purely fiat but cashless. No, who knows down the line.
I mean, I don't think there's going to be purely anything. Give me some, try to in this world that's pure. I mean, that's maybe but other than
that's true.
Other than that, I think the systems are going to collide. I do believe that there's going to be hybrid systems, and one of the things that I believe in is also freedom of choice. Your free will, your free choice to use fiat, to use digital currency, while my choice very obviously is that I'm a proponent for Bitcoin. I'm a proponent for decentralized finance, for these systems that bring financial freedoms. That's my choice. In the same vein, everyone should have a choice. And I think the phrase that I tell startups the most within my realm of fundraising and consulting strategy is, if there is no perceived need, your solution doesn't matter. So solve a need, solve a pain point, but solve it for the people that need it, not for the people that at conferences, someone will always raise their hand and be like, oh, but Christiana, my Amex works fine, And I'm like, okay, go use your Amex then. Go ahead.
Keep going. No one's stopping you.
No one's.
What about you, Gabriel? Because I want to hear your thoughts on, like, do you use crypto to pay with anything? Do you get paid in crypto? Is it something you use as like a transaction method?
That's a good question. Actually, yeah, I use crypto, but not to pay anything, to be honest, like groceries or stuff. No, I don't pay with crypto. I trade crypto, I storage, but I don't pay anything. But funny thing, for example, I'm from Venezuela, from Caracas, and that country is super crypto. They really use the crypto to pay, for a coffee, for a pizza. And funny enough, they were using Dash, this currency, to pay for everything. So, because of the crisis, the financial crisis, the Bolivar were going down with inflation. So people realized, okay, crypto could be a great value, not only for buying and holding, but also to use it for the daily life. So I think, wow, I'm not living in Venezuela anymore, but yeah, it's interesting to see. I would love to use more crypto, to be honest. Maybe not Bitcoin because it's too volatile, and then you don't wanna, you don't wanna lose a lot with the fluctuation. But yeah, I think for Latin America, these emerging markets, crypto for sure has a real use case. Yeah.
I would love to go to Latin America, somewhere like Venezuela, and I would love to just walk around and maybe speak to some merchants and just hear about the process of them onboarding, because that's something that in Europe, we've not got to that point yet where merchants
Yeah.
are inquisitive enough to look at onboarding. But I'm so interested to see like how they found the process. I don't know if you've had any insight at all from any of your friends or any feedback you have personally.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I'm in Colombia right now. Happy Cristiana, you should come, and also you. Yes,
Oh.
Colombia is very nice. And, yeah, we should talk to Emma to build a conference here in Colombia. Yes, that would be.
Well,
We're having one in Sao Paulo next year.
Wow,
Yes.
Brazil.
So we'll
beautiful.
have to catch up in person at our conference and
Definitely.
see, because that's the thing, is Latin America is such an emerging market, as you've said,
Yeah.
It's huge.
tech space.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah, and even only Brazil is like a whole new planet. Only Brazil. So yeah, it's huge
Right,
market.
right. Well, I am, Gabriel, I might take you up on that offer, and Jessica, please plan to come with us. So since I got to spend almost 4 months now with my family in quarantine, I am deciding, hopefully, to be in Colombia for Cali. It's the
okay.
salsa festival in Colombia.
In December, right? Yeah.
In December.
I know. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay.
So, salsa is one of my passions. I always say if I wasn't in blockchain, I would be on Broadway. I love perform, I love dance, I love music.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm also a musician. I play the keyboard and I had a salsa band
Wow.
many years ago. So yeah, come here. Yeah.
So excited.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah. Brazil. So you're having it in Brazil next year, right? In Sao
Yes.
Paulo.
So
Okay,
it'll
that
be
would
the
super
Sigma
interesting.
conference, which is the iGaming element, and also different gaming, and then also crypto, emerging tech, and blockchain with AIBC. Because gaming kind of comes into it when it comes to actually using crypto and tokenization of assets. It's kind of a good solid use case as a gateway, because there is still that jump that needs to be made, which is why I'm excited to go. I've never gone to Latin America before, so I'm very.
That would be great. Yeah. Well, stop by. Yeah, stop by in Colombia as well. Brazil. Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful.
So Colombia crypto adoption isn't as widely used as it is in Venezuela, no?
No, not so much crypto usage, but people are trading Bitcoin a lot. I mean, when you see the volume of Bitcoin trading, Colombia is in the top five, I would say. You got Venezuela, China, Russia. Colombia is also huge. So yeah, there is a lot of crypto usage. There was a time they were using a lot of Monero as well, like 2 years ago, because the privacy settings they had with Monero. But yeah, a lot of Bitcoin trading for sure, but not for real usage exactly. So hopefully we'll get better, because Bogota is getting more a fintech strongest scene. So hopefully they will catch up with other places, right? So, well, you see Argentina is also huge with the crypto startups development. You got this company, Roosstock, I think, right, from Argentina. One of the first crypto stuff happening in Buenos Aires, in Argentina. So let's see, it's exciting times for sure.
Yes, no, absolutely. I actually saw with Dash recently, Dash had all-time highs when it came to trading volume and actually and monetized as well, literally about 2 weeks ago. So I reached out to Ernesto from Dash, who podcast with, Yeah, and I have a podcast with him next week. So he is on the ground in Venezuela, and he's really advocating for like what Dash is doing. Because for me,
It is.
Dash is such a cool project. I'm not
It
sure
is.
if you guys,
Yes.
amazing.
Oh yeah.
I like
I mean,
Dash. Yeah.
project, but also a very tight-knit community. And that's what I say also, as well, especially with, in perspective of coins and blockchains, you live and die by your community. And there are certain blockchains that have a stronger community than others. And it's very interesting because we're actually getting some analytics when we invite speakers to our Digecon live, because, you know, this is a completely free resource. This is not sponsored by any particular party. We all do cross marketing, cross promotion. And what I'm noticing now is every week we've just been blasted by fantastic human beings, experts, top CEOs. It's really been humbling. But what I can see on the back end is when I tweet out about a certain speaker, about who's on the lineup, and then I tag all of their companies, I know exactly who gets the retweets, exactly who gets the shares, the comments, and that's all contingent upon, it's different for each platform. Some people are stronger on Twitter, some are stronger on YouTube, or some are stronger on less Instagram in crypto, but Facebook, for example. And you get to see, oh wow, so sometimes I didn't realize the power of community till I noticed that. I didn't expect it from certain companies. I'm like, wait, all of a sudden 50 retweets. I'm just like, what? What?
That's right.
Yeah. It's important. It's important to build that community. And I think that's one of the things I do personally with my digital footprint strategies, is to analyze that. Not only quantitative, but qualitative, your postings, your brand, your culture online and offline. What are you building? How are you building community, and really letting people know your why, right? Why are you doing all of this? That's huge.
And I think especially in the cryptocurrency sphere, people that are Bitcoin advocates, particularly because it is decentralized, everyone then feels a responsibility and a role to self-market this product and this service that is providing people. So people then feel this huge responsibility and this task almost to then tell their friends, tell their family, tell people on the street or their, their colleagues at work what this can do, because they know there isn't some marketing budget year on year where people can go in and actually have funds allocated. So I think the community is so much more passionate than in other spaces. I've actually never experienced anything like it in this space.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. And I had a brief conversation with a brilliant marketer. He does marketing specifically for blockchain and press and media. And the one thing he told me, and this is just golden, he said, people are tired. They're tired of the broken promises. They're tired of the confusion of what is blockchain, being told different things that aren't. And what they really want right now is they want cold, hard facts. Show me how you impact. Show me the supply chains, from the fields, verifying mangoes to the farmer's plate, right? We want to see real results, and that's what we want in the press and the media, not promises.
It's true. Because I think people find it really hard to concept. And I had one amazing panel during our AIBC Summit a few weeks ago with a guy called Stephen Nielsen, who actually is based in Sweden, and he works in the seafood industry. And he has a supply chain for tracing the seafood as it comes out of Norway or Sweden. Norway. He's
Norway,
and he'll follow it then through into the suppliers and the supermarkets in Norway. And for me, that was so interesting. I put him on a panel discussion with Ben Gertzel, who is the AI mastermind behind Sophia, the AI robot.
Oh, wow.
So we had this visionary then that was saying, technically you can do this, and this. And then Stephen, who was saying, well, I've done this. These were some of the challenges. And it was so interesting to see these two hugely intelligent people come together and just like brainstorm for a discussion. It was like, wow. It was amazing.
Yeah, Jessica, that also reminds me just the power of interdisciplinary conversation, right? So just like your sir from Norway, right? Just like him, I have a friend, her name is Genevieve. She's originally from Haiti. She lives in the UK, and she's doing an amazing supply chain. She's the mango story that I'm talking about. Supply chain to verify farmers to the stores and have equality in the pricing, equality to the ones, so that the ones growing can actually benefit. And so that's so cool. And the interesting thing is we always talking to each other, but when we see someone from, Hollywood, or someone from the music industry, radio industry, art, fine art, there's so many niche needs that our entrepreneurs and our foundations can be working on that can really give us that impact today.
Yeah. And this is also,
amazing.
COVID's been a catalyst, because if we look at food supply,
Yes.
like you said,
Good point, yeah.
people have said, let's automate it, let's cut out as many middlemen as we can on the ground. Let's try and have a streamlined process. Especially there was huge issues in Europe when it comes to fruit picking. No one wanted to go to farms and pick fruit. If there's a way that we can automate the process so people don't have to come into contact with other people, there's a clear role alignment, and it's like a huge kind of relay track, then that would make a huge amount of farmers not lose profit this year. It's been a really challenging.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, in Colombia, I've been, getting to know a lot of producers of food directly, like the farmers, people from food producers. So I've been getting to know a lot of people directly, helping them better food. It's like thanks to the COVID. Otherwise, I would go to the typical grocery and buy stuff. But right now, I'm, calling directly to this type of the best coffee, the best, tomatoes, vegetables. So it's like in that side, I guess, thanks to COVID. That's interesting, right? They didn't lose their business. Plus, you get to know more quality food at the end, right? So.
Yeah, more organic products as well.
Yeah, directly from the source, exactly. So it's like without blockchain, but you get direct to the source. Yeah. So that's good. Interesting.
Because I know it was something that people were even talking about 2 years ago, was actually blockchain being used for tracking, and I think companies that we're looking to implement it. Walmart maybe in the US. I'm not sure if Christiana. I think in 2000.
Walmart. I don't know too much about the Walmart situation, but what I can tell you is that Carrefour, yes, they did. They're jokingly calling it the chicken chain, but they basically they have a supply chain scanning system similar to the one I just described to verify where the chickens came from, to make sure if you're buying an organic free range chicken, that's the one that you're purchasing. So Carrefour, I was in again, missing events. I was in Paris for Blockchain Week, I guess 2019 or 18, and there was someone on stage discussing from Carrefour, which is global, just like Costco, just like Walmart. And they were describing how they're using blockchain. So it's pretty cool to see that. And again, that's quantifiable. That is 1 million chickens verified blockchain,
That's a good one. Yeah, interesting.
The food. And I think we had my really good friend, one of the mentors in this kind of podcasting space. His name is Tony. He leads a podcast called Disrupt. He was one of my anchors, because when this all went down and I ended up being in lockdown, he was streaming every day at 8:00. He saw there was a need and people were stuck at home and alone and not knowing what to do and laid off. And he started doing his live stream every single day, 8:00, just daily mentorship. And I really learned a lot from him. I really am grateful to him. And he had he had McAfee on his show, right? And then
wow, great.
Yeah.
I actually met him. I met him in Malta actually 2 years ago. McAfee.
Okay.
He was
at
there.
the BC Summit 2018.
Yeah. Cool guy. What a character.
He's a cool guy. And one of the things he said was, in times like this, because Tony asked him, if you had $1,000 anyone out there listening, what would you do with that $1,000? And we thought he went to send like Bitcoin, or he might have said some crypto or some, we were all kind of on our edge of our seats waiting for that answer. And then he pulls out a machete. He pulls out a gun and he's like,
Yeah.
ammo and tuna fish. Like, I don't remember exactly what his words were, but he was basically saying, hey, you know, push comes to shove, at the end of the day, you are going to need cash, you're going to need food. And so when things really go down to the wire, yes, our industry is revolutionary. Our industry is breaking down legacy systems, but food and water, right? These are things that are always going to be the subsistence of humanity. So be aware of that when we're building solutions as well.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
And I think that's really a really good point. I think sometimes people, especially on Twitter, you do see people that are such advocates of this system that even when March, April, and Bitcoin hit 5,000, and we saw like the worst drops we've ever seen. I think oil was below zero at one point.
Right. That was
negative.
insane.
And people were like, buy Bitcoin. And guys, I love you all so much for like putting effort into the space, but people right now are terrified about being laid off or how they're going to pay their next month rent. There's a place to give your advice on the financial freedom. And I do think that this situation, you know, seeing the fact that governments were printing so much more money, it would have lead to some form of distrust for sure. And I think we will see in discussions in, you know, economy lessons in years to come, a reflection on this. I don't think March and April were the time for newcomers to go, you know what, I've been waiting for like 3 years, not really sure about Bitcoin, but actually now the wheels are potentially coming to an end. I'm going to buy some. I think everyone was just going, my God, like, let's just see how this plays out.
But it's amazing how resilient is Bitcoin, because as you say, the oil wasn't below zero actually, and gold was going down, and even Bitcoin went down, but it still was, you know, at a good price. So it was, wow, this is insane.
I think it was a good validating time for us because we saw the stock market drop drastically, but Bitcoin did not necessarily correlate exactly. I mean, I think there was disappointment in some aspects because people thought, well, Bitcoin was supposed to be strong even if the stock market crashed, which it also crashed, which gave us a great buying opportunity, right? But it did show its colors as it increased and it went into a bullish time within that spectrum.
And a lot of emotion. This market is a lot of sentiment, and people got scared, and you know, they need liquidity to, you know, even pay the food or the, you know, the typical bills. So they sold Bitcoin, or the big whales, they got panicked. So it's like everything on emotion, right? So I guess if you are bullish, it will be fine. It should be okay. We'll see.
If you hodl, it'll be fine. Just
if you huddle throughout these past few months, you can think, you know.
I've been meditating. I think Bitcoin will be fine in March. I was like, just take a breathe in.
Who's that called? From Celsius. He came on the show. Did you remember that? He took out a big boulder and it said hodl on it. And he's like, if you think I'm selling, call me and I'll show you the boulder.
No, it's true. And you know what, actually, I don't know.
That's right.
I think because the news was so daunting, there was a lot of different changes everyone went through. So everyone was working from home. Everyone was learning. Like people were choosing to educate more. Like absolutely, I did some online courses while I was still working, but I actually stopped using Twitter as much. I used to.
Really?
I found that it was getting me super anxious, and I think you do see a lot of emotion in one very small news feed with a limited amount of characters. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to remove myself from this for a little bit. And it made a huge difference. So actually, I think in a lot of times when people were creating more content, I was less sharing, visible with my content, but I felt a lot better just taking a step back for a moment.
There's one want to dive in. I mean, I found that you know, being involved with Digecon and getting my friends together to have meaningful conversations, that's given me a lot of strength, and that's really encouraged me. And I'm so grateful to everyone who's been on the show and just given their time and advice. Now, on the other hand, 2 weeks ago, I cut off my WhatsApp. Well, not on purpose. My iPhone broke, and none of the stores are open. Fine. It wasn't some kind of big thing. But now I'm not actually going back to all the groups I was in, because I need some space from all that noise. There's so much going on right now, especially online, that, you know, if we want to, as a crisis relief mission, you know, working to get the right content to human beings and learning how to listen to what is the needs of the market, you know, what is going to be the best information for people that are furloughed, for people that are learning a new skill because restaurants are closed. So entering the digital economy with a bang, right? That's what the tagline is. But how are we going to do that? And if I'm, you know, chatting away at 4 a.m. in my groups, right? I can't focus on really hearing those needs and bringing up. Yeah.
And this actually goes back to what they say about kids, and really interesting. You asked Gabriel earlier, you know, like, what does his kid have a smartphone? Like, does your child use a smartphone or any apps? Because they say that for a child to be bored, that's actually when their imagination comes through. But I think adults too. So I think adults that are at home and they're on their phone, they have less time to think and be creative, or even maybe like watch a documentary that they weren't going to watch beforehand. Whereas time on, I'm guilty sometimes. I'll spend 30 minutes on TikTok and I'll be like, where no, it's perfect.
Yeah.
But if you decide, actually, my phone's out of battery, you know, you go to a restaurant on your own and your phone's died and you have to actually look around, you might pick up a newspaper. It's a different experience for you. And I think that's what we were saying about people being furloughed or people at home trying to maximize getting new information, different streams of information too, not just YouTube and random videos. So
but that's a good point, because my son also sometimes tell me, I'm bored, you know, I don't want to play more Xbox or see the TV. You know, it's good to be bored as well, you know, because when I was a kid, I got bored so many times and it was okay, you know, at the end. So too many distractions right now, even for us, to get the proper work done.
Right. I think so. And I think also one of the reasons, so you know, if you guys heard about what happened in the United States with George Floyd, I had mentioned that, you know, that was very trying times. Even now, that discussion is very difficult here in the United States. And one of the people ask, well, before George Floyd, there were 100 George Floyds. And this is a systemic issue that always needed to be addressed. How come it was George? And I think it's basically what we're talking about here, is that from so much distraction being turned off, you turned off the light of going out to eat, you turned off the light of entertainment, you turned off, the only thing that was available was Netflix, and you couldn't even Netflix and chill because no one else was there with you know what I mean? But it's interesting how but I love it. What I love about it, not only that this whole justice movement was created, whether it's a positive angle or a negative angle, I mean, that's to be discussed, but fighting for justice is fantastic. But the thing is that all of it, you know, being stuck at home, being with only the ones that you really care about, communicating with people now virtually by choice. You know, you click into the Zoom, you want to be here, right? Now, look at people's Amazon bills, or, you know, I haven't bought any high heels in the last 4 months. I love stilettos. Okay. I haven't gone
Me
to
neither.
what?
No, just kidding.
I love stilettos. I love dressing up. I'm always the one in a suit at a crypto meeting. I
can vouch for this. And it's the first time I met her, she's like, my feet are killing me.
Yes. But I love it. Like, you know, I'm from New York. If I wasn't, you know, my first internship was at UBS. You know, I love that whole power suit, power woman. I love that vibe. And, you know, you guys can wear t-shirts. I'm going to have my power suit because I like it, you know, but it's going to be fashionable. It's going to be designed nicely, you know? But I don't need any of that. I need my family. I ran home to mama. I'm here. The only thing I really needed is I ordered a whiteboard. I ordered a post-it whiteboard, and everything's fine. And everything's fine. You don't even have to, I mean, the things you thought you needed, you didn't actually need them. You just need humans and food and water, you know, and to maintain your spirit up in this trying times.
I completely agree with you regarding the situation in the US and what's happened. Everything is so awful, but the fact that it's been a global movement, because it has been a global movement. I have friends in London that have marched. I have friends in Italy that have marched. And this whole push for Black Lives Matter has, I think, been because a lot of people also, everyone has felt unsafe because there's been a pandemic. So this whole talk on white privilege, it's suddenly been like, understand what it's like to feel unsafe, or for your brother or your dad, where maybe you weren't before because you did feel like you were protected to a certain extent. The pandemic has kind of taken the rug underneath people's feet and said, actually, everyone is at risk of something as simple as health. This could happen to anyone, and this is happening in the United States with African American people, and it's really powerful to suddenly see that this is a movement. And I hope, as the world comes back to normal, this is one movement that remains, and it remains being looked at. It doesn't get kind of forgotten again.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very good point. I agree.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that, Jessica. I really didn't think about that everyone could feel uncertainty, feel, I love that imagery of like being that rug pulled out from under you. People probably who've had stable jobs their whole lives or their whole career, bam, no stable job, no kids are in that house. Right. It's really, I never thought about that, but people can connect with this movement on an emotional level because of what COVID did, right? That's really interesting. And I think, honestly, the charge is on us, so we say, will this continue? Human beings are forgetful. Human beings are just like squirrels. You see the juicy nut and you run after it. As soon as things start livening up, and it's easy to forget. It really is. But I think it takes, leaders like us on different continents, in different social groups, to continue the dialogue. And it's a dialogue that needs to be going to policy, needs to go to, policy of government infrastructure, but also of companies. All of us as consultants, and can we influence the next CEOs that we chat with, to bring more diversity, to understand what it feels like to be a woman in the space, or a man in the space, or an immigrant in the space, in whichever country you are. Silicon Valley boasts the most successful companies, partly because of the diversity of immigrants and people and talented professionals that flock to Silicon Valley. It's not land. It's the human beings that are magical.
Agree. No, what Jessica mentioned is a good point, that because of this pandemic, it's the first time in human history that everyone could be, could lose their job. No matter if you're a billionaire or not, you still get stuck at home. So it's like, wow, first time that you could get awareness that it could happen to anyone.
It could happen. Kind of like natural disasters humble you.
Yes. So I just hope that after this pandemic, we really can change, and just not stay in that level of, okay, we did some protests and that's it. No, hopefully it could go forward, right, to concrete action, hopefully, and people change. But that will take time, I guess. It's not something, it's more complex, I guess. No.
What would concrete action in this topic mean to you, in Malta or in Europe? What would concrete action mean to you in South America, Gabriel?
Wow, this is a hard question, but I think all concrete actions are very long term. So, for example, you need to talk to the leaders, the government, regulation, entrepreneurs, communities, and doing little by little. I mean, this is very long term stuff. It won't happen soon, but step by step would be great. Yeah. I mean, it's not something easy to do, right? So yeah, I think that's, for example, here in Colombia, we have had many issues with this armed forces, the guerrilla, maybe you know, right? So, for example, they back in the days they kidnapped kids to be, you know, parallel armies to fight against the governments, and then they got the peace treatment a few years ago, and then suddenly they start integrating these kids again to the schools because they were kind of like kidnapped from, you know, the jungle and all that kind of stuff. So I guess it should happen little by little. This is very complex, and I don't know. What do you think, Jessica? Yeah.
So I've watched a few documentaries on Netflix just to understand the situation, because I am really aware that I am from a very white area of the United Kingdom, and then I moved to Latvia where it is
Okay.
98% white people. So I feel like I was very undereducated on what was happening in the US. So I just made it my task to just try and understand a little bit more about what is going on and the situation. And I was really shocked. I watched this documentary which was called The Time or the Story of Khalif Browder, and it was essentially about the fact that this 16-year-old male in New York.
Oh,
You've watched it, Christiana.
yes, it's so sad. Please tell them.
It's heartbreaking. So it's about this 16-year-old male that's been brought up in the Bronx, and he is accused of stealing a backpack by a gentleman. And essentially he's ends up spending, I think it's around 100 days in solitary confinement in Rikers prison in New York. And then he comes out, and then another 120 days. And this is the United Nations say 4 days in solitary confinement is enough to make you go clinically insane. And this 16-year-old boy, while his brain is still developing, has been so unlawfully assigned 2 years in federal state prison, and he didn't even fully go to court. He wasn't something where he was even convicted. He wasn't found innocent or guilty. It was just the trial was pending. And for me, I watched it and I felt sick at every episode. Yeah. And I, after the call, would have calls with my friends, and I would be like, you have to watch this. And I voice noted you after watching an episode, and I was like, we have to do something, we have to stream something, because that was something where it was just so visibly in front of me, and I was shocked. I was really compelled to do something or action or move forward. I didn't really know how, but I just felt like even if I just talk about it and just tell people to watch, just educate themselves, it was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't even get myself to finish the whole thing because I was just so sad, and just the system failed him time and time again, and prejudices of human beings are really what brought him in that situation to begin with, and for such a young child, right, to have to be in that situation. It's so sad. And the reality is it happens every day, and no government system is perfect. But the point is, you know, we really need to find ways for checks and balances, find ways to protect these kinds of people. In the end, we're protecting everyone. We're protecting our children, our grandchildren. We're protecting humanity when we stand up and we're a voice. And that's the thing that I'm humbled with the position that I have, just as an educated woman that is, you know, outside the box, you know, nothing really can hold me back. But that's not that's not really the case for everyone. But it's really important, you know, sometimes you walk into your blessing not for yourself, but for everyone else who will be blessed by your blessing. So it's actually kind of like I always quote Spider-Man, but like Spider-Man's grandpa, he said, you know, with great power becomes great responsibility. You know, if we're just to hold this treasure that we have with the technologies that we have and with this power and this knowledge, it's really no good for anyone if we just hoard it, you know. But hodl Bitcoin, but tell everyone about it.
Pass it on, right. Share it with a friend.
Share it with a friend.
But I think that's why people, if we go back to the emerging tech and the cryptocurrency space, people view it as a new start. There isn't a hierarchy or class system. This is just a new alternative where people can get on board, and there isn't these systematic divides where you're either X, Y, or Z, and once you're in that lane, you can't get out of it, and your kids will be in it, and then their kids. And
Yeah.
It's a fresh approach, because I think people that understand it, like people like you said from Venezuela, like ex-Soviet Union countries, are also really keen to adopt cryptocurrencies because they what it's like for their local currencies to fail. Whereas I think in the UK and the US, maybe they're a little bit slower to just get on board, because the sterling pound, the US dollar has always been fairly well structured and stable. But I think it's really interesting because people view it as a fresh start. They view it as a new opportunity for sure.
Hey, Gabriel,
And for me, sorry.
have you seen Defiance, McCormick's new documentary series?
No, I haven't.
Wow. Well, if you go to giveonlive.com, you'll see we featured his series. So McCormick, he has a series called Defiance. He went to Venezuela, Colombia. I believe he went to one other place. He does this series, and just on the streets, in action, talking about everything that matters. I think his original podcast is called What Bitcoin Did. Yeah. But it's a brilliant series. I recommend it to everyone, especially people who are in South America, to understand, Jessica, what you're talking about, which is this real needs and seeing how these technology really meets needs, so to the lady waving her Amex at the conference, next time I'll tell her, hey, watch Defiance. And that'll give you a better perspective of why we're fighting so hard for this. So it's interesting.
Amazing. How many episodes?
I'll check it out. Yeah.
Well, they're full feature films. I mean, they're the documentary style. I think there's 3 so far. We have all the information on the Give On Live, but I think there's 3 different countries. I'm not sure if he's making more, but really great anchor, really good producer, and really good information. You should check it out.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'll check it out. And as you say, Jessica, it's true. Because, for example, I talk to US friends or UK, Australia, and they tell me, no, crypto is a scam, But for me, it's too hard to believe on that because my financial system in my country failed so much. And it was so corrupt that for me, actually, decentralized networks, crypto makes sense in a way. Obviously, there is a lot of issues, but it's like, no, I definitely believe in this, right? So
tell us more about your country. I mean, when did you leave? Because now you're in Colombia. When did your family leave, or did you just leave? How did that happen?
Oh.
he left now too. Okay.
I thought he was pausing to think for a second.
I don't know. No, like it was like 10 years ago, but I went to Croatia first because part of my family are Croatian, and I lived there a few years, and then got back to Caracas, and then switched to Colombia. Yeah, that was the 10-year, right? But in theory,
was it the economy that caused your family to up and leave? Was it a business opportunity? What was it?
No. Back then I went alone. It was because I got a scholarship to study Croatian. And the idea was to be 6 months, and then I ended up 3 years in Croatia. And it was nice, and that time I got my kid there. I got married and got divorced, and it was a wild ride. And then came back to Venezuela, and it got really a huge mess. So then at that time, I was working in Nokia, and I got transferred to Colombia, and working here in Colombia. And then I got my own stuff going, investment banking, and that's, the last 2 years were a lot of traveling, intense traveling, and then, hit the pandemic, right? But that's kind of like, in a nutshell, my 10-year summary.
Wow.
In 5 minutes.
I like that phrase, intense struggling. I like that. I think, nothing good out of thin air, right?
That's true.
From like the diamond, right? It comes from struggle. It comes from getting to that breaking point and enduring.
I agree.
Yeah.
And you know, people that have everything from the beginning, they're very soft. So it's good that you struggle and you get the things, because that's a good thing actually. You get to appreciate that you're hungry, right, of this. So that's good.
Hungry.
Yeah, in a good way. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a TED talk that talks about grit. They call it grit, right?
Yeah.
And it's a really good TED talk talking about like that missing factor of what makes entrepreneurs or what makes that startup go. And that's the leader that has this grit, you know, like nothing will stop me. We're taking it there, anywhere it needs to go. And a lot of these, even these big unicorns, their original idea was totally different, but
Right.
the team was able to just gel and find the need, pivot at the right time, and bam, Dropbox, and bam, Instagram, you know? So it's really interesting. And that's why I really value certain cultures that really ingrain that with their children as they're raising children. For example, you know, that Greek culture, and you know, argumentative and raw, and Tel Aviv and Israel, you know, just question everything. And even Latinos got that too, you know.
Yeah, in a way.
We're very much, you know, like, ¿por qué? You know.
We have to take care. We have to, you know, bring Jessica to Latin America. That's the next goal. Yeah.
But there's that saying as well. It's like tough times create strong men create good times create weak men create tough times.
Wow, I've never heard that one.
And it's like there's the path, there's like a pattern. So people.
And where is the girl in the process?
She's having her own little party all the way over there. She's
women are just right there.
But what about you, Christiana? So what has your journey been? Because you seem to have traveled a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, so well, it's really interesting because a few broadcasts ago we had this breaking talks on Goldman Sachs, and we were responding to Goldman Sachs and this big presentation that they did. And I produced the show, but I was actually on both sides of the spectrum, because actually I grew up in New York, okay? But my parents were immigrants from Dominican Republic and from Paraguay. And my mom when I was in middle school, she actually ended up working for someone that was from executive from Goldman Sachs. So I've known about Goldman Sachs since I was, you know, a teenager, and I always kind of appreciated the company, and that's a whole nother story. But for me, I was, you know, an immigrant's daughter, and my parents moved into this wealthy town. So my mom was working as a domestic for someone from a fund manager in Goldman Sachs. And then my uncle came in and be like, hey, let's all move from Queens because they pay us better in the suburbs of New Jersey. So my uncle came and be like, you know what, we're not, you guys, and he brought all his sisters over to the suburbs of New Jersey, and he started a construction company. So painting, landscaping, and then eventually, literally my family, my Paraguayan family, populated this really rich suburb of New Jersey. But when I was in like middle school, high school. And so if you can imagine, like a child doesn't know the socioeconomic disparities between their parents. It doesn't know, doesn't care, right? I was just in school, but I was in one of the best schools in the country. I was learning from students whose parents were doctors and lawyers and valedictorians. So my mindset became their mindset became my mindset. And because I grew up in a loving home, so my parents loved me and wanted me to succeed and wanted me to just go be educated and do what you want. So it was a very open environment. I grew up with a lot of love, but I soaked up this mentality, this aggressive kind of like Ivy League mentality from my classmates. So yeah, so I was like, and you know how Latinos are, we populated the city, you know, we brought all our cousins. No, it was very, and we ran the soccer teams, you know, but I got this mentality, and I attribute the mentality to my parents because they raised me with love, but I also attribute it to my peers and their parents because that's who I learned from. So I did end up going to Columbia University, and I was going to be a doctor. I wanted to be an OBGYN. I wanted to give birth to life, you know, and what happened was China ruined me. China ruined me. So I was a pre-med. I was pre-med the first 2 years, but I went to China for an immersive summer program. And that's when I just got hit by this bug. I was just like, wow, like I'm a Latina woman from New York, New Jersey, and I get to speak in Chinese to this guy selling me dumplings on the streets of Beijing. Like that's the coolest thing I've ever experienced. I just realized that's what turns me on. You know, like yeah, I could be a doctor, and that's cool, and bio, I'm taking that class, but wow, the fact that I get to communicate, and this would never have happened if I didn't learn this language, if I didn't come over here. And it's just like, it was so cool. And I was really, me and my best friend, she went with me in the summer program, and we were really strict. We were really strict, you know, we were ambitious Ivy Leaguers. So we did not speak English, not even to each other. The teacher suggested be fully immersed. They put us in homes, and basically it was just amazing experience. And I realized language coupled with, because culture and language and history is all intertwined.
Yeah.
And so I went back. My parents were scared. They were just like, what happened to her? What happened to you out there? I dropped pre-med. I went into the Wall Street internships. I realized I liked culture. I liked business. You know, like, who are you? They were really scared. But I had gotten that bug, that just culture bug. And this was, you know, back when this was before the Olympics, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there were very few people out there. So you're like a hot commodity in Asia, you know, like you're Western looking, they were touching my hair, calling it ramen, you know, it was so cute. And I was just, I looked at my choices. Okay, I can be a Wall Street slave, make a lot of money, and wear my diamonds in my dressing room because I won't have time to go out. Or I can, which was exciting to me because I like that. You know,
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Diamonds in the bathtub. No? But I was just like, but Asia needs me, you know? And I'm just so much of a more needed in the marketplace, and I can just do what I want. And it's that Asia bug that I think you'd have to have experienced it, like going, and especially, you know, I was like 19 and seeing a whole new world. And but for me, someone who comes from United States, which is a melting pot, it was still revolutionary to just be in. And so that just led me to a path of entrepreneurship, I think compared to my peers, why I'm a little bit more advanced in the digital space is because my style of work has been formed since I was 19 in Asia, which was know your value, know your assets, and sell that, right? So, and nothing is guaranteed. No contract is really valid. But if you focus on adding value until your value is not needed and moving on, you're fine.
Yeah.
So I think when I was in college, like it was this whole like illusion that we had to pretend we're gonna interview, pretend we're gonna be with a company for years and years. My dream is to be your slave forever, right? You know, that's not your dream. But in age, like, okay, what can you do for us, Christiana? Okay, you can translate this and this and this. Okay, do it. Okay, this contract, we need you to do this project. Okay, cool. And then that'll be over. Can I do anything else? No, we're good. We don't have budget for you. Okay, bye. You know, and you find the next and you find the next. So it's add value until you're mutually not adding value anymore, right? And move on. And so that's always been my work style, and it's served me well.
Interesting. And what about you, Jessica? You mentioned you were from UK, and then you are from UK, and then you went to Latvia, right?
Yeah. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Like after I left school, I applied for university, and I was close to the mark of getting in. I just missed it. And I was like, I don't know what I want to do or where I want to go next. It was never on my radar to move out of the UK. I just had no idea. And then I was like, oh, I would love to be a journalist. I would love to make content, but I am severely dyslexic, like very, very dyslexic.
Really?
Yeah. So for me, writing content just wasn't an option. For me, writing was just not a thing. So I actually turned up to a local radio station. I said, look, guys, I'm store at the moment, but I want to work here for free. I want to volunteer and I want to learn how radio works. I was a researcher intern.
Nice.
In the space of 9 months, I loved this radio station. It was called Radio Cardiff, which is the capital city of Wales. And I would just be there as much as I could, like after work on a Saturday night. And eventually people were there and people would teach me, okay, you know, this is how you make a news package. This is how you record a news package. Oh, this is how you make this. This is how, oh, I need to pop out for half an hour. Can you man the decks and like just host for 30 minutes? And eventually I had 2 morning newsreader slots in like 9 months, and I co-hosted a drive time show. And I was like, I love presenting. I love being able to, and tell them what's going on and communicate these really interesting discussions, but also make it light and make something where people feel relaxed. And and for me, it was like a hip hop and reggae radio station. It was so much fun. And it was something where I was just like putting in everything that I put in, I got back out. So I was just I felt so fulfilled. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, what next? What next? So I was like, you know, when you get a taste for it, you're like, okay, I want to keep going. I want to keep going. Well, I want to try TV. So I went to this course in London for a week. I'd put all the rest of my savings in this 1 week course. And I was like super deluded. I was like, after this 1 week course, I was like, okay, I'm going to get a job in a network. Great. And then I realized that I was 20, just turning 21, and I was not ready for that. And I was not ready for that. But I applied for a lot of TV jobs, and I was like, I'm really keen to work. I did this online London School of Journalism course while I was at the radio station. So I was just like, okay, I'm ready now to like, I think I've learned into practice. And I must have applied for about 50 jobs. And one day a job got back to me and said, and apparently in my cover letter, I put, hi, like I want to work for your TV station. I can see you're based in Latvia, but I can relocate as of next week. By this point, I must have been desperate for sure. I think I would have just like, you come over for it. We'll fly you out for a screen test. And it was Swiss financial bank that had a TV station that they would send reports to clients. And I was like, do I go? If I go and I get it, I kind of have to move. And it was never on my radar to move, especially to Latvia. I wasn't even particularly sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I was like, right, okay, you're going to go. I didn't I just went. And then I kind of said, I've got to tell you something, you know, I've got the screen test and I've been offered a job and I'm moving in like 10 days.
Wow.
And what about the experience in Latvia? You were in Riga, right? Yeah.
I was in Riga and it was incredible. I learned so much, and I was interviewing people every single day. And it was what you think, like, if you are around these kind of people and you're having conversations with a gold commodities trader. I was 21 from the UK. My vision was, you know, like, keep it up with the Kardashians, reality TV. And then all of a sudden I was like thrown into having to read the Financial Times, having to read Wall Street Journal, having to and then ask questions. I'm naturally super inquisitive, but it was like so challenging. There was some nights I would stay until midnight just trying to like learn. They also had a TV station in Geneva because it was a Swiss bank. So within my first 6 weeks, they sent me to Geneva for 6 weeks. And that suddenly I was not interviewing people over Skype. I was interviewing them in person. And I went to this commodity and derivatives conference. And I actually found the interview like 2 weeks ago. I'd interviewed the president of NASDAQ when I was 22.
Wow, impressive.
Listing blockchain projects on NASDAQ.
Wow.
Seriously?
You see now, you see how destiny, right, plays the whole,
Yeah, and it has been an amazing journey. The people I met, life-changing. Like that move for me is like, if it was a chapter in my life, that it just is huge. Like I was so blessed to be in, and I love talking about money. I love talking about, you know, what's driving the markets and economies and breaking down specific regions. And LATAM was always my favorite currency pair, like the Brazilian real and the US dollar to look at. I would do currency forecasts, and I love.
Oh, wow, interesting stuff. Well, now you know Christiane and me, so we can take you.
I know, right?
But you
and then
were the radio station was in Wales. I mean, you are from Wales. From that.
yeah, it was in Wales.
Ah, beautiful.
So cool.
I know.
I love your flag that you have like a dragon in the flag. So
You know, they totally set Welsh children up for failure, because I think in every other school it's like, draw your flag just for 10 minutes just to keep them busy, and everyone's just got like a circle or two lines. In Wales, have you seen the Welsh flag?
yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that's what
It's
I
a
tell you.
dragon. It's
Yeah, dragon.
She's frozen.
Dragon. I love it.
It was
Wow.
difficult. It was challenging, but yeah, it was an amazing journey. And then from working in the financial TV station, obviously then cryptocurrency started to become an interesting investment. So we had 6 journalists in house, and I was the journalist then that would choose to cover all the crypto events or ask to go to the crypto events. So I first met Miko, who's regularly on this in 2017 November in Russia. So this is like just before crypto like became a big thing.
That's true.
2 English speaking, non-Russian speaking at this conference, because this conference was like 200 people. It was before boom, and I would be like, do you speak English? She's like, yeah. I was like, oh my God.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, so it's been such a journey. And then I started working for News BTC, creating video content from them from home. And then I kind of ended up in Malta. So it's, I actually think...
How you ended up in Malta? How was that, like that connection?
I was all packed, and everything for me was so, I really think it was like written for me, because if I kind of tell each story, it was like kind of pushed. I was to move to Lithuania to work out of a blockchain center in Vilnius, which is like an amazing building. And I was all packed. I had the removal van coming the next day from Latvia, 4 hours away in the car to Lithuania. And I got a message on LinkedIn, which I never normally would have replied to, from a company looking to start a blockchain TV station in Malta. And for some reason, I was like, I had a call with the recruiter, and he said, I said, well, you need to let me know today, because I'm all packed up to move to a new country and like start a new life there. And if I sign a contract, I can't relocate, but but I would be up for moving, but I need to know now. So again, my poor mother, after about a week, was like, how is Lithuania? Are you all unpacked? And I was like, well, actually, I'm in Malta.
Exactly.
And she was like,
wow.
Yeah, it was completely unplanned, but I got asked to come in and start a project. And for me, the project was just amazing, the deal and the opportunity. And I just thought, I knew something was coming, and I was really forcing this move to Lithuania. And Blockchain Center was amazing. I would have loved to create content for them. But I felt like I was really pushing it. And then all of a sudden, a country that I'd never been to, it just naturally pushed me in this direction. I was like, right, I'm just going to go with it.
Yeah, definitely.
I turned up with all my suitcases one day, and here we are.
Everything turned out well. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it has.
Wow, cool.
And I love how, I mean, I think it's a good story for youth out there, even just people in transition right now, because the fact that, you had an interest, you explored, you said, hey guys, I'm here. Can you use me? Can I learn? This is like the radio. I want to do this, and you pushed and you added value, and, unexpected things happen along the way, but you were willing to put yourself out there. You were willing to open your mouth and ask for an opportunity, and you were willing to learn. I think that's brilliant.
I've got a really interesting chart, because you just reminded me as you mentioned it that I took a screenshot of earlier, and it was saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? Depends on where you're from. And it was saying that in China, 56% of young kids say they want to become an astronaut. But they were saying in the UK, 30%, and in the US, 29% say they want to be a vlogger or YouTuber.
Wow.
And right. That's so interesting, because I think it is right now a trendy job. And I think a few years ago, it wasn't. A few years ago, people viewed it as broadcasting as an amazing opportunity to deliver a message. And I'm not sure how organic it is now, but you're completely right that if you really want something, internship, work for free. If you can afford it while doing a full-time job, work for free, try and practice, try and gain a skill. See if you enjoy it as well.
That's true.
Is not the only option. I didn't go to uni, and I will have, for me, that's financially helped me a lot because I've not got any university fees. I've always never been in a deduction, you know, I've worked full time and then been able to pay my rent. And
yeah, but that's a good point, that see if you like it once you work, because sometimes you wish too many things and once you do it, you don't like it, and then you switch to other stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. One thing is for me, like I like too many things. You know,
Me too.
I
Me
could,
too.
I'm telling you right now, I can equally be as satisfied as playing Maria in West Side Story as I am playing Christiana in blockchain, you know? So I would be equally satisfied. One thing that has helped me is to be patient with myself as I'm learning new skills and new industries and accept myself where I am. I think I don't know how it is with you guys where you grew up, but growing up in this like New York, Northeast, ambitious, materialistic environment, and then going to college in New York kind of gave me this very like attainment mentality. Like I'm not worth anything unless I attain more, until there's no more to attain. And then you're just an empty, soulless fool, you know? So it's, I mean, and it's funny because I end up in Asia, which has that same mentality. So you can imagine me after 3 years in Asia, I'm just this like attainment machine, and it really took some humbling moments in my life to realize, oh, wait a second, I value as a human being too, and I have intrinsic value, and I'm okay. I don't have to do anything to be okay and to be worthy of love, right? So in the context of career, why I say that is that yes, try things out. And then if you're going to do something, don't look at it as your finality. You know, you could be
Yeah, it's a transition. Yeah.
Yeah, you can be a consultant today, you can be a broadcaster tomorrow, you can be a theater artist the next day. You know, there's different seasons, but what I would say is put 100% as you're experimenting, you're trying new things, and then when you decide on something, just do it. That thing. Do that one thing. At least commit to that, you know? And then you can always change it. It's okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
you know what I want to ask you both on top of that? So we're obviously talking now about kind of independence. Obviously, in this COVID world, we've seen some people be furloughed and, jobs have put on hold. Some people have used this as an opportunity to, create a little side hustle. I have a friend that's doing yoga classes from home now, and she'll get people to pay her €4 to tune in. People creating like artwork, for example. If people are looking to become self-employed or start their own company or organization, the first few steps are the hardest for sure. What advice would you give to people that are thinking about it? They've not yet plunged.
Yeah, that's a great, I would say just get started, doing something that you like, I guess. Start, learning the process, as you say, enjoying the process, and then go figure out what happens. For example, if you want to create a podcast, well, start doing some content, interviewing people. So for example, my sister started a podcast also in the US like a few months ago, and it's been doing well. So it's like it happened because of the COVID in a way. So she started doing that. And I think it's just getting started, and don't think too much, just action and see what happens. Maybe because sometimes you get too much on the mind, I want to do this and this and this, and you never get to the action side. So I think, and it's a good time, as you say, because everyone is at home. So from my side, also been reconnecting with some of my passions, that is music. So I've been, I love flamenco. So I want to buy a guitar and practice again, and that kind of stuff, right? Because I was building my side hustles way before, but now I kind of like reconnecting to the things I like before doing all this, right? So I think it's just getting started, I would say. What do you think?
Wow, I love that. Yeah, and key takeaway, action, right? Take action. And I think, you know, taking action trumps planning all day long, you know, because, you know, there's just, you learn from doing. And even me with this New York state of mind, right? When I first got introduced to Bitcoin, I'm like, okay, well, I gotta go take a course. Let me go take a blockchain course, you know, and then my friend was like, no, just work on a project, right? One of my best friends in blockchain and Bitcoin, she said, just do it. Like, just try a project, get on a team. And I'm like, okay. And so I kind of do things in an extreme way, and I just jumped in, and now I'm in every conference in the world, right? That was my style. But my first thought was, I need to go to school. I need to go take a course. I need to get a certificate. That was my first thought. But yeah, no. Go.
Yeah.
You want a
By
podcaster?
experience.
Nice.
I think by experience, I would say,
Yep. Throw your, and you can get mentors that are virtual mentors. Just start watching people's videos. Whoever you want to become, watch their shows, read their articles, read their books. They're your mentors, even if you never met them.
That's right. Yeah.
So just
it happened to me because I was like 5-6 years ago playing poker with some friends, and they started talking about Bitcoin and mining the Bitcoin, and I was so curious. Oh my God, what's that? I don't understand anything. And then I started mining Bitcoin, and then got involved in a few ICOs and started raising capital, and then connect me to a friend in Japan. It was so crazy, the whole, just by experience, by action. I wouldn't have thought I was going to be here right now doing a bunch of crazy stuff in technology, right? So you never know how that road goes.
You never know. And I think even the story of Digecon Live, right? The story of Give on Live. You know, I think initially we just want to share the resources, like Tony from Disrupt, like, you know, Bitcoin trading and my favorite salsa live stream. We just wanted to share the things that were uplifting us, right? And all of a sudden now we have a broadcasting station switchboard. I mean, how did that even happen? You know, thank God we have Jessica, because she knows things, you know, she's actually an experienced professional. And that's the whole point. You know, there's no way Christiana could have started a broadcasting network having technically never been in broadcasting or any of that. There's no way I could have ever done it. But the fact that I call everyone that I knew that had a voice that I wanted to chat with and wanted to get their input, the synergies just started happening. And it went from Tuesday 1 to 3 EST to, okay, Saturday we're adding a Philippine channel talking about and Thursday we're adding an arts and the digital economy. And suddenly all these producers start popping up, like, I would love to create content for you guys. Okay, welcome. You know, so it's just so interesting. Again, like, you never know the pivots that life will take you, but you're never going to go unless you're walking, you know?
Right. So you got started, and it's true.
And I think as well, in this like era, is like you said, like the fact you're like, okay, I'm going to start a broadcasting network. 20 years ago, your parents just can't resonate with that, because you needed to have a huge amount of capital. You needed to have and now you can set up a company from your Instagram account on your phone or from laptop. This is the huge time to be like an entrepreneur. If you want to create a YouTube channel, like you can just film on your phone now. You don't even need a camera. You don't even need to edit.
Right. It's very, so finally, what is broadcasting, what is media, and what is podcasting and live streaming? They're all kind of merged and blended. I do think what Anatoly from Latvia, what he mentioned though that was really interesting was this whole like fact versus factoid. So that's one thing that's important. Factoid being fake news, right? So where's the fine line between things that are just fake and for entertainment and things that are perceived as truth? That's the one thing that I feel is a little bit dangerous in this online space, where anyone with a camera is a producer, basically, you know?
That's right, yeah. And then comes again the thing that is too much noise. So sometimes you get so many tools and information, but you don't get started because you have too many options, that at the end, too many options is not good because you don't get focused. So you have that on the side, but at the end you have more possibilities for sure. That 20 years ago, it's insane.
Definitely, yeah. We have this thing, Jessica, if you have any friends, so basically we have this we're going to be launching soon, called From Novice to Ninja. So the ninjas of podcasting and live streaming and these channels, they're going to be kind of mentor novices. But and so basically we're taking people through this track of going from a novice to a ninja. And if you're a ninja, then making you more ninjafied, right? But basically this whole yeah, because the thing is, what's a network without creators, right?
Yeah. Good point.
Very cool. And I know normally we do our explain to man show concept, and I think now that there's just a few of us, it might be a little bit of a challenge, but I think we can still touch on it a little bit, because I think what's really important is trying to explain to new people where to even go for information. So I'm going to kind of tweak it a little bit, because Christiana knows that normally we have the few more panelists and we'll give them a person that's close to them, someone that they interact with in their day-to-day life, and then they'll also have a cryptocurrency concept or emerging tech phrase or buzzword, and you have to explain it to them. I think what I'd like to do with you guys now, because maybe for people that are watching or might rewatch the stream, is for people that would just look to go for cryptocurrency or any form of emerging tech information, where, based on your experiences, where would you advise them to start? If I was saying to you, and I'll start with you, Christiana, like, I have never heard about Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. Where should I go to understand a little bit more, where I actually learn? I don't just get kind of a printed document that I can't take any of it in. Where to start?
Okay. Do I have a time limit, Jessica?
No, you don't have a time limit.
Okay. 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 So where you start, you're going to go to giveonlive.com, and giveonlive.com, because obviously we're curating this station, but right now it's the perfect time to go check it out. In the Mind section, you will see documentaries like McCormick's Defiance. You will see Bitcoin enthusiasts like Tone Vase. Okay. You will see Crypto Coin Show. So what I would say is go to giveonlive.com, search Bitcoin, and look at those creators. So what we're doing is basically, in these different topics and related to decentralized finance, we're gathering the best content creators out there. Andreas, he is just an Italian, fantastic speaker on everything Bitcoin. Jessica, I know you've interviewed him quite a few times, I believe.
I have, I still haven't. So if he sees this, I have filled out the application form. So many
Jessica, we will get him on Digecon live, and you will interview him. That's gonna happen.
I second that. I completely vouch. His content is amazing. It's great.
Yeah, and in his bio, he also says like an unbiased view of Bitcoin. He talks about things in different perspectives. Everyone has a biased view. That's just the reality. But it's really sobering, because he's not selling anything. He's just talking about Bitcoin. Also, if you're more of a finance person, Tone Vase is a trader, originally a day trader. And he gives his own perspective, which is a really great channel. And then if you want more of the world perspective, what's the impact, I do recommend the Defiance McCormick's What Bitcoin Did, his podcast, and the documentaries, which are all of that is listed on Give on Live.
Amazing.
Yeah. And oh, wait, go get an Edge wallet. You're gonna see in the comments section right over here. Just download an Edge wallet with this link. You'll get some special deals, and just start.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And the documentary recommendation is amazing. I'm definitely going to check it out.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I would love to host a watch party. We're just really limited now with what we can show and not show live streaming. There's certain bugs in the system that could potentially, we tried to watch our own trailer that we made for Give on Live. We tried to watch it, and then we got flagged, and our whole live stream got shut down.
It's not worth the risk, especially for the channel. We'll find an alternative.
Let's get to Gabriel. I really like those action pieces where you have like, you're watching something, other people are watching. That's kind of
yeah, no, we he, you know, his 2 books he has, Mastering Bitcoin, Mastering Ethereum. You don't have to read the complete books, but it gives you a complete landscape of what's happening. After that, I guess what Christiana said, Tom Bates is a great guy. Andreas, what else? From my side, from my own experience, it was Andreas Antonopoulos. He was like the first insights I got from the Bitcoin cycle. And then, well, there's other writers, for example, Nassim Taleb, Nassim Nicholas Taleb. I love his type of books on finance, on the economy. George Gilder as well. He talks about blockchain and how it will, you know, propel. So I think I will write it to you so you can have it. But yeah, I would say that read a lot, go to the basics and practice, you know, at the end.
Yeah, and I think also a lot of media sites now, like Cointelegraph, for
Yes.
example, have educational sections,
Yeah,
which
they
are
do.
really good, and like little quizzes as well. So if you want to quiz yourself on what you've learned, these are really good, like quite interactive.
And
Cointelegraph is
also, yeah.
Yeah, they've got quizzes. They've got a quiz on Bitcoin history. So maybe we can do that as instead of a live streaming party. We can quiz everyone on their Bitcoin knowledge.
Oh, nice. That's good.
Ooh, and
yeah,
we're gonna get grades.
shots, quiz with shots. If you get wrong, you get a shot, something like that.
Yes, shots
we've
of
got
tap.
the Ivy League asking for grades, and then we've got games for shots. Really do.
Oh God. Right. Well, but I'm so sad that I forgot to mention the white paper. Read the white
Oh,
paper,
let's do that. Yeah.
right?
Yes, this was something
And
that in
also, yeah, and also from my
2017.
side.
You
Yeah.
go ahead.
I know, sorry. Go ahead, Jessica. No, I'll tell you later.
No, I was remember like the ICO craze, and I was working
yeah.
at BTC, and my job was to review white papers and then give like a little bit of a summary. And if they were more than like 15 pages, I was like, guys, Satoshi didn't do it. He did it in 9. Like, come on.
Right.
Sometimes you get like, oh, this is 47 pages long, and I just was, I would want to go.
Right.
Wow.
Well, one of the things, I forget why, but one of the
But it
things
was crazy how these white papers, 20 white papers back in the ICO, they raised millions of dollars.
right.
That was crazy.
You know what I was thinking?
Anyway.
Oh, I would love for anyone to steal this idea or call me and work on it. So what I was doing, I met a team from Helsinki, and they did this gorgeous VR experience at a conference. And this is when, you know, I'm doing activations with ActX, and we're learning how to engage the consumer with blockchain technology in a creative means. So the art shows, the digital virtual experiences. And I met this team, and they had Helsinki, the city of Helsinki inside of VR experience. And then I was just speaking with them. They're a super cool team. And I was like, wow, wouldn't it be cool if instead of a white paper, we had a black paper? And it was just a VR experience. Put on your headset and show me what your product does. Show me, let me see the people it'll affect. Let me see the business it'll be efficient for. Let me see the mangoes and taste the mangoes that are going to be verified on the blockchain. You know, like I was just like, wow, like that would be cool. Who can help me make black papers? Like, and and I was like so excited about it, like, because the thing is, it would have been a tool for these events or for these platforms, even online, because of the translation factor. So my specialty is go-to-market strategy, Asia, LATAM, and we have to translate your white paper into the language and the culture of the country you're going into. Mm-hmm. That doesn't always mean just a language translation. That means cultural context. Certain things you cannot say in a certain country that way. It'll mean something else. So if we just change the visuals, then okay, the same concept can be translated, you know? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, let's make a visual representation of what we do and what our value is, as opposed to a written one, because translations fail.
Mm-hmm. Such a good point. And I think this goes to the adoption issue that we have seen, where people just fail sometimes to wrap their head around a concept because it's so alien. You try to explain a decentralized exchange to someone and they'll be like, what if this happens, or this, or what if I can't access this? Who do I go to? People are used to in a physical bank. People need to see the actual concept and feel it emotionally rather than reading it on paper, because it is a complete paradigm shift. It's so disruptive that it's been, unless you are in the world or you are speaking to people and they can actually help. I remember when I first met you, Christiana, and you were so passionate about what you were talking about. And it is sometimes if you meet someone that stands out as being extremely passionate, you completely buy into them more. And I've been like, this woman's amazing. You were explaining things, and I really understood what you were trying to explain and put across. But I wanted to explain it too, because I was so involved in what you're saying. You were so charismatic and dynamic, and you have to speak to people like that. You can't just read something on paper, which is why this whole content creators and stuff, it's really needed for the space.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's interesting because now I'm in picking teams through hackathons and sprint and agile sprints, and the most needed human being in a hackathon is the videographer, the video editor. Like I'm literally about to get on the phone with Parsons in New York. I'll show up there. I'm just like, we need creatives in the industry stat. Because the narrative, if the narrative is not communicated, then it's nothing. You know, that pitch video, that impact. You know, the only reason Libra could win, or whatever Facebook does could win, is because they have a gorgeous narrative. You watch that video, you think you're going to save the world by getting a Libra wallet. If I use Libra, someone in Africa and in India and all around the world is going to be affected positively. That's what I think when I watch that beautiful film, right? So if we're able to really communicate correctly, so I really believe, I always talk about crossing the chasm and the disruption curve. My thesis is for the PhD that I'm in my fictitious university. My thesis is that we will cross the chasm by collaborating with the creative. And what you just said, Jessica, speaking the language of human beings.
Yeah.
Agree. So true.
Wow.
I think that's a great note to kind of it on, you know.
This is so fun. And wow, Gabriel, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Yeah, definitely. Good reconnecting with Jessica and you, Christy, for sure.
Great. Have you again too.
Yeah. And I hope that we can announce very soon more updates on Digecon Español.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll brainstorm, and I think, you know, this is content that definitely makes it all over the world. And super excited to connect with you guys.
Definitely. Thank you.
And we'll do it again. Yes. Yeah. No, for
let's
sure.
Let's do next time the quiz and shot, that kind of stuff.
Oh yes.
We have to do it for the next one. Yeah.
Hold that to us.
That is a great deal.
Yeah. So guys, I mean, again, every single week, 1 to 3. On Live is entering the digital economy with a bang, but every Tuesday, 1 to 3 is talking about DeFi. So we'll be here. Please subscribe, everyone out there.
Yes. And next week I am doing on Tuesday day, because it's evening time in Malta when we have this show. I am interviewing the Malta government that's working on the digital economy sandbox. So any questions anyone has, send them over to me, and then I'll fill you guys in on the Tuesday live stream. So I'll give you guys an update of how Malta's looking, because I'm so excited to see like what's been going on. And
definitely.
Wow.
And hopefully we could go in November to Malta. Yeah. Hopefully.
Yes.
Right. There's an open space for you guys on the agenda for sure. There's so much to discuss, and what I'll do is I'll send you guys the after movie. I'll pop it in here, and I want to get your feedback as well, so we can, because as you were saying, video content is so important right now.
Yes. Very cool.
Thank you, ladies. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
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 Okay.